We begin Parak HaOmnין, DAF IN, sponsored the Refuah Shalema from Moshe Yehuda ben Rachel Miriam. Start with the Mishnah. This chapter discusses labor laws. A general law is where one partner deceived the other. The employer or worker can lodge a complaint, but not demand monetary compensation. The poskim discuss legal ramifications of a complaint. Number one, if the worker hired reneged, causing the employer a loss and new workers are more costly, the original workers must subsidize the wages of the new workers, even if they did not enter a contract with the employer but agreed to work. Alternatively, the employer may deceive them by offering them more money to work and pay only what he originally contracted to pay. Number two, if the worker reneged after completing part of the job, he is the disadvantaged party. If the employer reneged, he is the disadvantaged party. Number three, a worker who deviated from the contract is the disadvantaged party. For example, if a dyer dyed wool black instead of red, if the improvement is worth more than the expense, the customer pays only the expense. The Gemara brings four explanations of the first law of the Mishnah, where one party can lodge only a complaint as involving a middleman. Number one, it refers to an employed foreman who hired workers for $1 an hour more than the employer offered, but stipulated their salaries would be paid by the employer. Since the foreman never committed to pay, they can only lodge a complaint against him for misrepresenting the employer. In addition, there was no going rate for an hourly wage. Both rates were prevalent. Therefore, they could not claim the higher rate from the employer. They could only lodge a complaint that they could have found work at the higher rate. Number two, even if the going rate was $3 an hour, the Mishnah discusses an employer who attempts to hire field owners who only prefer to work other fields for more than the going rate. Therefore, if the foreman misrepresented the employer, they can lodge a complaint against the going rate offered by the employer. Number three, the workers hired were standard workers who claimed they did better work in return for the foreman's higher offer above the going rate. However, they could not prove their claim. They were ditch diggers, the ditch already filled with water, therefore they can only lodge a complaint. Number four, the foreman offered the workers $3 an hour, unlike the employer who offered $4. Although they accepted the offered price, they lodged a complaint based on the verse, Al timna toiv mibalav, do not withhold the good of the employer. The Gemara discusses next where the foreman offers $1 less than the employer, and the workers agree to the employer's terms. Is it meant literally or as the employer's terms as represented by the foreman? The Gemara attempts to prove it from a law of get. The wife appoints him as a shliach halacha, as an agent to deliver her the get. However, he presents himself as a shliach lekabbalah, one who receives it on her behalf. If the husband responds, this is a get according to her dictates, she is not divorced even when she receives it. The Gemara initially attempts to prove from this that a worker accepts the agent's representation of the employer's terms. The Gemara rejects this. The husband accepted the agent's representation of her instructions. However, by claiming he is the agent to receive the get, he indicated he had no interest in delivering the get. Therefore, even if the husband appointed him as per the wife's instructions, he is not authorized to deliver it. The Gemara suggests, unlike previously accepted, that the term hitu refers only to a middleman. It can refer even to an employer, the employer or worker lodging a complaint. Number one, law regarding day workers. As long as the employer retracted before they came to work, since they can still find other work, they can only lodge a complaint. However, if the workers went to the work site, for example, donkey drivers to transport goods, or field workers to hoe and the goods were not available or the field was too moist, they must be paid a discounted wage. The Gemara concludes that this applies only if the owner did not show them the field the night before. He is liable to pay because he was responsible to inform them that they may not have work the next day. By not doing so, he obligated himself to pay schar batel. However, if he did show them the field, then he does not have to pay them anything. Number two, law regarding workers hired to complete a job. Complaint can only be lodged if the worker did not begin working. If a tailor was hired to sew a suit for $300 and retracted midway, he receives $150. If the price to find a new tailor to finish the job is 50% more, or $225, the first Tan of the Brisa holds the customer must absorb the loss, not like the Tan of our Mishnah. And the $75 is deducted from the tailor's salary to compensate the loss of the customer. This machlokas is only where the delay will not cause the customer a loss. But if it causes him a loss, he can hire workers at any cost to finish the work, or even deceive the tailor by offering him a raise and then paying the original agreed price. However, if he can find the tailor for the same price, the customer only can lodge a complaint.